Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic, and welcome to this very special Deep Woo episode. Title is The Sacred Temples with Robin McLevy. But before we introduce our new guest, let me introduce our co-host for tonight. Of course, it is the amazing Janine Jean-Claude. You can find her at Sending Ravens here on YouTube and also at Tarot by Janine. Janine, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Jean-Claude. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Janine. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this live interactive show tonight. Let me now introduce our first-time guest for this evening. It is none other than Robin McLevy. You can find her work at soultemple.love and also here on Instagram. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you on. I'm actually a little bit nervous. I don't know why. Something's happening in the field.
I've got butterflies as well.
Okay, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much again for joining us here tonight. This is a special show. Janine and I have been very excited to bring this to you guys. We've done a lot of prep work here tonight. We have an amazing guest for you. Before we get into all of the storyline here, I want to start maybe with setting the intention for this episode. And I'll start with you, Robin, seeing as you're our new guest here for tonight. What is your intention for the show this evening?
My intention is to amplify love. So I feel like whenever we work from the heart, speak from the heart, it's more authentic, more connected, and the opposite of love has been kind of infused into our psyches in the last couple of years, and it's so important to connect with that beautiful heart space.
Awesome. I love that. You're already getting some love in the chat. I love it. Okay. And how about for yourself, Janine? What's your intention for the show tonight? Or what, maybe the cards? Well, what do you want to share with the audience?
Why don't we ask the cards what the universal intention is bringing us all together?
Okay. Very good.
I know my actual intention is just to be supportive, and I'm so excited about showing wonderful new people to our audience. Yeah. All this like magic, these magic woo people that we have. Right. We need to share, right? We're sharing. Yeah. And so that I don't really have any intention other than what is always my intention. Mm-hmm. But let's ask the cards what maybe the universe wants to add to what Robin said there.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Sherry West says, BC here. Love to all. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate that. Chris with all the purple hearts. Thank you.
Well, the universe looks really excited to have Robin here and saying that it's a big healing. There's a lot of healing going to go on here. Mm-hmm. And because that intention was put out there, with asserting an intention before doing something is like using your magic. And a lot of healing's going to happen because of that. So like just even saying that out loud could bring everybody into the right frequency. I mean, words are magic and your intention is magic. So you add those two together. And I can see, Robin, you're wearing even like the color of a rose quartz.
Oh, yeah. This is a kunzite.
Oh,
which marries the mind with the heart. So that we don't over-intellectualize. We harmonize the mind and the heart.
Okay, but your blouse looks like the heart stone.
Yeah.
You get it from a distance. Yeah, it actually looks like that light pink. Yeah, which is like rose quartz, which is all about love.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Guys, I'm seeing so much love in the chat already. You guys are amazing in the live chat. Thank you so much. And thank you, both of you already. Before I forget, Robin and Janine, for agreeing to be part of the show and sharing your beautiful, amazing energies of love and wisdom here with the audience tonight. So let's dive into it. The first time question to my first time guest goes like this, Robin. Mm-hmm. How did the universe conspire to bring you to the work you're doing today? Let's start there.
Well, that's a multifaceted answer, I think. Do you want me to start from the origin story?
Whatever you like. I'll probe you for more questions after. Whatever you feel guided.
I'm very connected to Janine, and I'm a huge fan of hers, and I really admire the way that she works. So I've learned a lot from her over the years. And the universe has really conspired to bring me here. I had a 20-year career as an actor, and I've slowly emerged into my full spiritual self, which I always knew that I would in my 20s. I just turned 40 this year, and it just slowly kept happening. Year after year, I got more in touch, and a big influence was, I gave birth to my son 5 years ago. That was an awakening of my power. I discovered human design, and that awakened my energetic intelligence, shall I say. And then my mother passed away. So I have been in this like evolving portal after portal, just kind of elevating my consciousness. Hasn't always been pleasant, but it's been right for me. And I feel that I've arrived here with you two beautiful souls because I've been called in to share my story.
Okay, very good. That's a good start. If you watch my shows, I usually go a little bit further back and ask my guests how about their childhood. And I'm curious about yours. How did you fit in as a child? Did you feel that you were perhaps different than other people? Did you feel perhaps you were always looking at the stars? And maybe did you have some visitations as a kid? Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. I was an only child until I was 12. So I spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time in nature with animals. I had dog, horses. The horizon always felt like it was a refuge for me because it gave me so much perspective. And I grew up in Australia. I guess I was different. I wouldn't describe like visitations as a child, but I was very connected to nature. And I also enjoyed parody a lot. And I used to mimic people. So that's my gift, is that I can be a mimic. And I would make fun of like the principal. Like we had a principal in primary school who wore all brown. And so I used to, on the free clothes day, I used to wear a fully brown outfit and make fun of him, which was, and mostly I was a good student, but there was a part of me that was like, the hierarchy and everything is a false illusion. And I knew that when I was 12. That was a lot to do with my mom being very, she was a political activist. And I had that awareness cultivated. But,
it's funny you say that because I used to give my principal in school a lot of trouble also as a kid. I didn't really like authority at all, and he knew it, and he knew that I didn't respect him so much anyways. But enough about me. Janine, how did you come across Robin, and perhaps if you can pull some cards also to see how she maybe is connected to the two of us here somehow in universe, and how universe is conspiring to bring the three of us here together?
I kind of first met her on her television series. What was it called again?
Hells on Wheels?
Hells on Wheels. I just forget when I'm put on the spot. But yeah, Hell on Wheels. And I loved her character. So I think I might have seen her on Hell on Wheels before. But there was rumors that she was dating my nephew. Okay, but I didn't know, I don't think I knew that for sure when I started watching this series. And I fell in love with the series. I've watched it 3 times, and I'm seriously going to try to find it to watch it again, because it's actually absolutely amazing, right? And I did, and I'm going to be really honest, she's the best thing in it. Absolutely. And so the character is brilliant. And so I already sort of had like a girl crush on her. But then I found out she was dating my nephew, which is really cool. And then we got to meet her in person. So I met her. I think Yvonne brought you out to my parents' house. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that the first time we met? Or was it at the New Age bookstore?
It might have been at New Age. Yeah.
So my nephew owned the New Age bookstore at the time. And I think you might have come over. So I met her finally in person, but I'd watched her in film quite a lot before that. So I was really excited to meet the human behind that wonderful sort of part she was playing. And the human was even more amazing. Robin the human.
Awesome. And
so we were fast friends, I think.
You guys gelled immediately, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Janine, let's pull some cards and figure out maybe why that is. Maybe what connections we have through time and through our collective karma. I'd be curious to know. I'm sure the audience would be interested also. Katrina is asking, it would be nice to know JC's and Janine's human design codes. Oh, maybe sometime. We might get into some of the parallels between the three of us later tonight. So somebody in the chat is psychic already. So thank you for that, Katrina. Okay. All right. And Janine, what do the cards have to say?
Okay, we were likely all of us, actually, all three of us on screen here, were family related. So there's some kind of family connection, because this is extended family card. Community, even in the same community. So we spent at least one lifetime in a similar community. And I wonder if it was an indigenous one, because as soon as I saw Robin in the series Hell on Wheels, her part was a woman who'd spent time with an indigenous band. And was still sort of part of her soul seemed to still be connected to that bunch. And yet she was struggling, because being a non-indigenous person, and then back in the world with some markings that they left on her. Apparently based in a true character. There was somebody like that. Just loosely based, wasn't it, Robin? Loosely?
Yeah, that's right. It was based on a woman called Olive Oatman. And she lived with the Yavapai tribe and the Mojave tribe. And the marking was said to, well, there's two theories that back then the tribes would do it to kind of mark the white women as slaves, as a pawn. And then the other theory was that she became so beloved by the Mojave tribe that they gave her the tattoo so that she could meet her ancestors when she crossed over.
Oh, wow.
And I will say about that character, it was such a privilege to work with First Nations people in Canada, and I learned so much. And obviously Janine's family history, she has Indigenous ties, and I'm just so emotionally moved by Indigenous history. My mom was an Indigenous rights activist, so I have that embedded in my identity. And the last day that we filmed Hell on Wheels, season 5, I'd done 52 episodes. When I took off the costume, the tattoo, and everything for the last time, I felt like an entity left my body.
Wow.
So there was a lot of because I read so much history and I did so much research, and I felt so connected to this woman. I felt like I was channeling something very specific, and it was amazing.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay. Katrina in the chat is saying JC has a very different smile today. Part of that is because I'm nervous, and it's weird. Just before the show, I'm like, why am I so nervous? I do 2-3 shows a day, but for some reason, there's something about this show and what we're going to talk about tonight. There's something about the healing aspect, as Janine just mentioned here. I guess I'm feeling the weight of the importance of this show here for the audience and for the human collective. So yes, I am nervous tonight. So thank you for pointing that out. That's okay. Okay, Janine, before we start, now you just mentioned that you had a girl crush on her before you met her, and then you met her and you said, wow, the human's even more impressive than the person I was seeing on screen. So you were tapping into the multidimensional aspect of who Robin is already, or was and is at that time. And we're going to talk about these amazing transformations that humans can go through. But talk about that realization, Janine, the first time you met Robin in person and you felt the different layers to her complexity, and how perhaps that can guide us here into the conversation of human design here tonight. What was that realization for you when you met her first time in person, and how deeply connected she is, and how, again, I'm channeling something here as I'm speaking about these multiple dimensions of Robin. What struck you there?
Well, there was a lot more depth obviously when you watch somebody playing a part, so she played the part really well and it was very believable. So you get attached to the idea that that could be even what the person's like. But then you meet her and there was maybe a tiny element of that character, absolutely a part of Robin's, in my opinion anyways, makeup of her, or her soul essence was absolutely believable, because she could have some of those traits of that woman that Robin played the part of. But then you get all of these other layers, and it's just fascinating when all the other layers start revealing themselves, and philosophies and connections. And then the fact that her and my nephew were connected, that was fascinating. And my nephew and I get along, in particular that nephew, get along great. So we're like, it's funny to hear Robin calling me auntie, because she does call me auntie. It's funny because I feel like just like I just don't feel, I feel like they're wise old souls. Like I don't feel like I'm elder to them, even though definitely I am, and I look it, but but I feel like we're so on equal terms. It's like they're both such old souls. So I got to know the deep depth and the old soul of Robin and the more spiritual aspect of her.
Okay, and we're going to try to showcase that for the audience tonight. Somebody in the chat is saying, hey, maybe JC has a special connection with her in the past. Yeah, maybe that's why I'm nervous. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out here together tonight.
Maybe it's because I have your birth data.
Oh, maybe that too. I was like, oh no, I feel naked. I don't give too much details of myself to most people, so that's interesting. Okay. You've just described here in the intro that you were an expert at mimicking people. And so the art of transformation was very natural to you, to go from one character to another character in your career. But let's talk about maybe how you did that on steroids, going from that career to what you're doing now. That was a major transformation. The gulf is very wide between Hollywood and here the work you're doing today for the benefit of humanity. Let's lay down some track here and explain to the audience what that transformation looked like, and then we'll get into some of the tools that you use to accelerate that transformation, and then how maybe some of the audience members can empower themselves with those specific tools. So let's get into that a little bit.
For sure. I mean, I think a lot of children start acting when they're young as a survival mechanism. And with my mother, and Jim Carrey describes this, he was always being the clown to try and cheer up his mom, who was struggling with depression. And my mom, had a lot of depression as well. And she was a single mother. And I discovered very quickly that being the clown and being entertaining, putting on voices, making fun of people, it brought my mother a lot of joy. So I really started from that place of trying to uplift my mom. And then as I got older and chose it as a career, I started when I was 18, and I went to a drama school in Australia where Kate Blanchett and Mel Gibson trained, and I became very serious about the craft. And then I was a theater actress for 10 years more, and I was very serious about communicating, the human condition. And I lost my sense of humor. I lost my clown because I got very dedicated to the dramatic actress in me. And this is a photo of me with Kate Blanchett and Joel Edgerton in A Streetcar Named Desire, which was directed by Liv Ullmann. If you know European cinema, she's an icon. And yeah, it was a beautiful project. But, night after night, especially with theater, it's like running a marathon. And in this story, if you're familiar with A Streetcar Named Desire, Stanley rapes Blanche. So Stella, the character that I played, is sisters with Blanche Dubois. And he denies it. And Stella is pregnant, of course, with Stanley. And in the end of the story, Blanche gets taken to the mental asylum. And they get her committed. And it's just the most heartbreaking, heart-wrenching story of, she's this kind of poetic soul, the quintessential Tennessee Williams character, a poetic soul in a brutal world. Right. And this is, the story, you do it night after night after night. We did this play for 6 months. And I think I mentioned to you the other day, you know, the subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between fiction and reality. So if you believe that your sister is being committed to a mental asylum and you're to blame, that's like a lot of guilt and a lot of grief that your body is carrying. And also I'm playing that I'm pregnant as well. So yeah, the physiology of make-believe, even if, you know, my intentions as an actor has always been to help heal, because I wanted to have an elevated purpose. I never did it to get famous or be seen. It was always to like cultivate, hopefully, compassion in the audience, because that's, you know, a theme from childhood. Prince, you know, the music icon, he talks about it in his autobiography. All artists who are worth their salt want to help humanity on some level. And he was trying to harmonize the disconnect between his parents. And I think that was my mission as well. That essence came from, how can I heal that, you know, that disconnect between my mother and father, who divorced when I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
So then, yeah, long story short, I got into, you know, I went to Hollywood. I lived there for 10 years. I was on Hell on Wheels for 5 years, and it was a beautiful show. But again, like that character, she was suffering. Yeah, that's me on the red carpet. Like it's such a, once you leave the theater world, which is actually very humble and has humble roots, and you go into Hollywood and it becomes, you know, a very capitalistic pursuit for everyone involved. It's like you have to commit to the red carpet face and then your character, and where are you in that equation?
Mm-hmm.
You've got the face that represents the story, and then the face that represents the production and the show. And I was always desperately trying to, like, in every Q&A, I would philosophize and try and be really deep, and because, you know, that's in my nature. But I could never really authentically be me and say, you know, really transparently. I was always using the paradigm of the show that I was in and the character to express my personal beliefs. So yeah, my major transformation came when I had given birth to my son, and I realized, wow, I'm really powerful. I had a home birth, and it was a huge awakening for me. And after that, my career it didn't feel satisfying. And every character I read for, every role I read for, I was like, this is pathetic. Like, this doesn't express the depth and the power that I want to communicate. And there was always so much compromise. So I started to ask before I went to sleep, please show me guidance, show me guidance. And one night I said, please show me my new vocation, because there was a part of me that knew I was winding down, this exhaustion, the career. Like, I believed also on one level that I could make myself quite sick if I continued to act.
Right.
Yeah. And so anyway, I had this amazing dream, and I died on set. So there was a black shadow where my body had fallen, and everyone, the crew, everyone was standing around, the directors, and they were looking at my shadow saying, oh, wow, she was such a great actress. Oh God, that's too bad. She's so good. And I was walking around them on the perimeter of the set going, no, I'm still here. I'm here. And I promise I'll be more careful. And I woke up so distressed from that dream. But then one thing kept on leading to the other. I started studying dream work. I'd already studied Hawaiian massage and spirituality. That kept coming back. I studied herbalism. I discovered human design, and I realized my energy type. For anyone listening who knows about the energy types, I was a projector, which is one of the most sensitive and intuitive and exhaustible energy types in the human design system.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, oh yeah, I've been suffering from burnout. I've been pushing myself. I've been exploiting my sensitivities in my work. And I'm not feeling properly seen and properly valued. And part of the craving of the projector energy type is that we be recognized for our gifts and our guidance. We're really here to be guides. And so when I discovered that, I was like, oh, this system's giving me permission to rest. It's giving me permission to step into my authority and my depth that I'm craving to be sharing.
Right.
And it all just snowballed from there. Yay, projectors! So life-changing. It's like the best gift. And I don't know if you're a hermit, universal hermit, but yes, and we need to wait to be asked. So as projectors, we need to wait for the invitation. We don't need to hustle. And I spent a couple of years hustling in Hollywood, writing shows, trying to produce, and I just continued to burn myself out.
Right.
So yeah, human design totally shifted my perspective, got me in my authentic self. And I just continued to, well, I birthed 2 businesses. I birthed Birth Temple, which is my birth education and emotional support business for pregnant families, and then Soul Temple,
Right.
which is my spiritual mentorship business. And it feels like I can finally be myself and share all the wisdom that I've had all along that I've kind of been suppressing or redirecting. And yeah, it's wonderful.
Wow, it's amazing. So people in the chat are saying, wow, this is so opening. They love the conversation. So thank you everyone for bearing with us. If we have time, we'll try to get some questions in at the end of the show, but we still have quite a bit of information to go through. So I want you to explain what the human design is. We've already had a show here on Beyond Mystic, so some of our audience is familiar with that. But before I get into that, I want to go back to this idea of you playing these roles. And as you were talking, you mentioned something about how your subconscious didn't know the difference between reality and basically these roles, these make pretend roles that you were playing, and it was affecting your psyche, it was affecting your body. And I wanted to bring up maybe 2 pictures of some of the more dramatic scenes that you had played on the show. And as I was scrolling through that, I wanted to ask Janine, is it possible, seeing as this, we're feeling the weight of this show, Janine, you and I, that perhaps Robin here, universe was guiding her to play these roles in our movies because Robin was also replaying perhaps karmic loops of her own past lives, and she's being called in this lifetimes to perhaps correct and cut those cords between those old karmic lives and wounds and traumas, and to fix them in this particular lifetime as we move into this new paradigm that we're also going to talk at the end of this of the show here tonight. So can you pull some cards and see if perhaps universe was in fact guiding her to play some of these roles, and that's why Robin was not only affected as a great actor, as a great mimicker, embodying these personalities, but perhaps she was embodying her past lives and her past events as well.
Well, as you and I have been getting a lot on a lot of shows, almost everybody going through this time right now has likely been somehow pillaged. I can't say the other word, the R word that goes before that, and pillaged by the dark cult and the forces, you know, in the murky background, right? That we're not going to talk about that, but that it has brought us all together in this lifetime to take that down and move past that and reinvent all of ourselves. Even the human race we're reinventing. So on a bigger level, but similar to what Robin's been going through, which is reinventing herself. Finding a different way to be in the world based on her new knowledge of who she really is and giving herself permission to be that person. I think we're all doing that. So I think it goes without saying that likely if you're a human soul for any amount of lifetimes, you've had to deal with this pillaging that's been going on, which would make sense to some of that anguish scene we saw.
Right. Right.
Okay. In Robin's case, though, so I hope you don't mind, Robin, if I talk about your past lives here.
Sure, go for it.
You were burned at the stake as a witch.
100% believe
So
that.
you would have been thought to be a witch. So
Yeah.
this is the wise woman, more likely a Celtic in this lifetime.
Yeah.
So when Christianity was getting popular, and we know why they popularized it, they were utilizing it. It was just a tool to oppress people, but
To oppress women. Yeah.
Right, in particular women. So you would have been a pagan woman in those times and would have been very learned in herbal magic and food magic. And by the way, Robin, all of those things you helped me with food-wise. Robin really helped me out recently with a new diet for myself and just a few little tweaks to what I was doing. And I'm literally changing my whole energy because of it in a good way.
Good.
Yeah. And
That's
hopefully
awesome.
transforming my big tummy, which is a good thing. We're only filming from here up. Yeah. But
Your wise tummy, your wise woman.
tummy. Yeah. So we're working on these things. And Robin knew. She just took me to this really health food, sort of superfoods place, and just knew her way around it as if it was second nature to her. So herbalist and everything. So I think you were like that kind of a healer. Yeah. And you might have even had 2 lifetimes in that kind of energy. So yeah, you're absolutely healing some, like I think a lot of us are.
And let me bring you on, Robin. I didn't cue you before the show that I was going to ask this question. How do you feel about that? The fact maybe now going back and looking at these past roles and some of the visceral kind of emotions you were feeling as you were playing that. Does that make sense now? When you look at this?
It's always made sense. And I think I've always been very conscious of the ancestral healing that happens as well. So not only from the karmic past lives, but from my ancestry, which has included, everything from, I have royalty in my family, I have convicts in my family, I have women who were shipped from Ireland to Australia and who had their heads shaved and had vinegar poured on their heads from a great height. My mom was also a historian, so I'm very connected to like my ancestry and my lineage, and I've been conscious of like, I'm healing, lack consciousness, poverty consciousness, disempowerment, being burned at the stake 100%. I feel like my struggle with like being transparent about my spiritual gifts this lifetime has been a fear of being, reprimanded, destroyed for
burned at the stake again.
Yeah,
exactly. Wow.
But it feels so good when you find your community like this, and it's a safe space to articulate everything that you love and feel passionate about. And we've been robbed of our intuition in modern culture because it doesn't allow for sovereignty. It doesn't allow for internal guidance. We can't be dictated or controlled when we're in touch with that.
Especially when our speech is being curtailed at every level, and I don't need to say the C word, but it's very refreshing to be in community and to be in alignment with our soul contract and our soul mission. And I think you've made that transformation in there. So let's start talking about now human design, what it is specifically. There's a few people already, they know who they are, all of this architecture, but let's maybe give an overview to the audience of what that is, how this technology basically works. And then I'll probe you for some more questions and maybe ask Janine also to fill in the gaps here.
Yeah, so human design is it's a beautifully integrated system that was channeled, and I like to say that it's mathematically perfect. So it combines the I Ching with Western astrology, the Kabbalah, so the Tree of Life, and the chakra system, and it really is like an energetic blueprint of how your soul wants to operate in this lifetime. And it's the thing that I think I love most about it is that it helps you love and accept who you are. And it creates really healthy boundaries for your expression in this lifetime. And I'm really big on boundaries because I think they're like the thermometer for your self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
And from that place, you can cultivate self-love. So yeah, it's a very intricate system, but the basics of it are that there are 5 energy types. So you've got generators, who are about 60% of the population, and they're here to work and build. Then you've got manifesting generators, which you are, JC, and you're similar to a generator, but a little bit more creative and fluid in the way that you create. Less concerned about sequence and more concerned about sampling and experimenting and exploring and then creating from that place. Then you've got projectors, who are a non-energy type, or we say that we don't have a motor, and we need to be around others with a central motor, which is the sacral chakra. And so for projectors, we really need to be resting a lot. We need to be guiding and helping people with their insight. And then you have reflectors, it's a really small percentage of the population, and they are like a sponge. They're like a mirror for the environment, and they reflect the health of the environment at large. So they're like worth their weight in gold. And manifestors, who should be initiating and leading us. But yeah, if I can jump to the 2027 paradigm. So according to human design, it's foretold that 2027 will be this huge shift in consciousness. So you can feel that we're already working towards that. We're in like the birth canal right now. And on the other side, and who knows, like if it's going to be fully in place in 2027, but it's said that projectors, so Janine and I are both projectors, we are going to be the leaders in this time. And for me, what that means is that we're going to demonstrate what it is to exit grind culture, exit capitalism, and really enter authentic, embodied state of being. So there's a really big difference between the doing mindset, which is the old paradigm,
Mm-hmm.
the building and constructing, and the being of the projector, which is much more gentle. We observe, we feel, our auras penetrate and deeply understand, and then we bring that energy back into ourselves so we can understand ourselves. And this is part of the reason why this belief is that we're going to be showing the way for easefulness and love.
Okay, that's a great opening there, because I know this is complex material for people maybe who hear this for the first time. So we're going to dive in a little bit deeper. Before I do that, Bonnie says, no wonder you were nervous, JC. This episode is deep and intense. I know, right? It's so cool. And also, we need to get into these shared human design gates here between the three of us, because Dee Atwood here is saying, JC, okay, you need to ask the connection between you and Robin. I can feel it, I can see it. Okay, I'm curious what that is. So maybe, Robin, while you're still on the screen here, let me ask you, you looked at both Janine and I's codes here in human design, and you found a shared gate. Can you explain that concept to the audience, and then share what that similarity might be? Yeah.
So again, the thing I love about human design is a lot of this, the I Ching influences in here, and it's so poetic. So this is all the gates described the celestial influence that you were born under, and there are many gates in your chart. And they all bring a nuance to how you express yourself soulfully in this lifetime. And the three of us share gate 25, which is the love of spirit, which is, it's why we're all here talking about, spirituality and awakening. And the main difference, though, JC, is you have this channel of shock. It's like the channel of the shaman. So you bringing people onto the show gives you the ability to initiate people into a love of spirit. which is huge. Like that's part of your mission in this lifetime, is to create. And I haven't watched a lot of your other shows because frankly, I'm nervous about the topics that you cover, because I know you guys go, woo, like you really cover a lot of stuff.
Do we? No.
Yeah. You know you do, but that's part of like what gets you going, is like this, you know that you have the potency to shock people and initiate people like a shaman would into, oh, there's so much more here, there's so much more available on the spiritual plane. And Janine and I just have the gate of love, so we're here to be love. We're not going to shock or initiate anyone particularly. We're here to just hold space for, like you said at the start of the show, Janine, like to nurture and support and hold space for. So.
Wow, that's fascinating. And just so you know, that logo behind me, I downloaded that. It was not the logo I wanted to do, but I got that out of meditation. So it'll take me an hour to explain how that logo came to be. But that middle symbol inside the Enzo is the Torii gate. And the Torii gate is the delineation between the mundane and the sacred. And so my job on this show is to bring people through that process, that initiation process, just as you're talking about, from the mundane to the spiritual side of things or the sacred side of things. So, amazing. Wow. And I had my human design stuff done maybe 5-6 years ago, but I haven't really gone back to look at it. I was impressed by it at the time, but I didn't understand a lot of the things and why the person at that point, I didn't really, how do I say it? It was all me. I wasn't understanding all of it. I was in a big transformation period myself too, and I didn't capture everything. But now as you're talking to me, I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense now. I'm seeing a little bit more of the picture here as we move on, as we are all walking on this road to self-mastery. Every day is a brighter day here. So, okay, that's fascinating. Janine, let's get into that shared gate here. Do you want to pull some cards on that? Do you want to share your personal experience with what Robin just said, how it touches you or how it impacts you? And also maybe if you want to pull some cards to see if we can get a little bit more understanding of what connects the three of us here also.
Well, when she said that her and I shared the love part, that made a lot of sense, because always, like I was a psychic, intuitive, or whatever, tarot card reader for 35 years, but it was a means to an ends. I was literally just I knew my real mission from a really young age was to get people to love themselves more. So I used tarot and my intuitive gifts and I did get some great readings, and but I'm not a great psychic or anything. No, I'm not. And, but I'm intuitive. And I just want to nurture people to love themselves more. And in this particular case, get through what we're facing. I was born to help the humans get to that upper level, safely, self-loving, and learn the lesson. So it's not about bringing intel, but I do love that element of the truther world. But that's not the biggest hit for me. I'm not trying to be some big intel. I don't even have any intel sources. My source is universal love. So I totally agree with Robin, what she said. I'm not trying to be anybody's guru either, but I see the shaman aspect of you. So when she said that just makes sense, because you're bringing all of these people. So you're bringing all of this woo to a whole lot of people, and you're making it so it's digestible, because a lot you're using humor, and you always take all of your guests a little further and a little further with every question. You don't just put up with like the shaman's death. You want them to deeply dive into their soul purpose and then share it with the audience. So everybody's
I don't do that.
Yeah, you do. And everybody's learning, including the guest on there, that it appears that they're bringing this energy, but we're all just learning to deep dive into woo.
Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. Wow. Okay. And
humor is a big part of that initiation too. Like that's in that channel. You can choose to like provoke and entice people with this lightheartedness, and then you're just like, ooh, here's the deep question. You didn't see that coming, and it's like,
Right.
his ability to balance everything.
I get in trouble sometimes because apparently I laugh too much or I giggle too much during my show. But yes, I try to bring
we need it.
humor. Yeah. Speaking of humor, you said you had a dream that you died on set. You weren't by any chance supposed to be in this movie with this guy, were you?
No, and JC, I cannot laugh at that joke because my friends and colleagues knew that cinematographer who died. It's just
Wow.
So yeah, see, you've shocked us into an initiation,
Right?
Like the problem with that set was, the hierarchy was all out of whack, and they weren't honoring the workers. And there's, this is what we're looking at. These structures, they're very flawed, and no one should have to. It shouldn't cost you your life to be on.
Right, absolutely.
That was totally chilling.
And what you were saying too about your transformation and how you got into what you're doing now, you also, like, through this dream, universe was telling you that your life was at risk if you were continuing down this path. And it kind of woke you up into saying, wait a second, I'm not in alignment truly with my soul purpose. Yeah. And so this dream was that shock for you to wake you up to say, hey, wait, you're on the wrong path. And if you continue, this is where you're going. And I'm sure for a lot of people right now, these last 2 years of this event going on around the world has been horrible. But at the same time, I keep repeating to the audience, yes, but no. At the same time, it's also been a catalyst for positive change if you decide to take action and to be in alignment with who you are. Because now universe gave you that opportunity. It said, hey, work from home. Take it easy for a while. Maybe stop watching Netflix and empower yourself and learn what the hell is going on this planet. So let's talk about that transformational process also for you, that catalyst for change. The dream was one of them, but now learning these tools is what really propelled you moving forward. And maybe here, talk about, if you want to share, some of the pitfalls in this transformational process, right? Because a lot of times when you transform from one person to another here, you become alienated from all your friends, from your family, who suddenly look at you and like, Robin, who the hell are you? Like, you're not the person I married, or you're not the person I used to go to school with, or whatever. How was that transformation for you? And share maybe some tips there on going through that process, because a lot of people in the chat here are going through mourning of the person they used to be and the connections they used to have. We're all going through that right now, and I think your experience might help them maybe move a little bit faster here through the process with a little bit more ease.
Yeah, so exactly what you're talking about is the ego death. We're all experiencing it in some way. When I had that dream, that was the ego death. And all of us right now in this time are having to look at what we've clung to as part of our identities to cope in the matrix. So our wealth, our status, our community standing, our identities that are, palatable and acceptable. And a lot of us are experiencing this awakening, which is usually characterized by craving deeper meaning and wanting to help others. So that's a beautiful thing to crave. And it's something of substance that we can celebrate. But then, as you say, the difficulty is, when you start aligning with your spiritual gifts and you become more soulful and people don't recognize you, it can be really isolating and very lonely. And here we have the dark night of the soul. But as we all know, and we use these cliches because they're accurate, it's always darkest before the dawn. And we're in this really dark space right now where we're just seeing these glimmers of light. And the reason I started Soul Temple was because I wanted to assist other people who are going through these ego deaths and really acknowledge them properly as rites of passage, because we are so deprived of spiritual acknowledgement in our culture. We get celebrated if we make money or become visible and famous, but do we get celebrated when we give birth, when we make a spiritual commitment to another person, when we suffer the death of a loved one? We don't have these, rites of passage, menopause, divorce, career transitions. And so this is really what Soul Temple is for me, is like being able to be a doula, a support person to help people grow and get so aligned with what their soul has asked them to come here to do. And there's so much beauty in human design and so much nuance and specificity that really we can get connected to how intricate and complex we are and act from a place of authenticity. And we can feel free and liberated to, experiment with these new identities that we're birthing. Mm-hmm. And it all comes from this place of, wanting to help others and create the new paradigm. And I'm so interested to hear from your audience how they envision the new paradigm and what they're, it's time for us to start envisioning paradise on earth. Absolutely. Because what we're going through right now does not feel like that. But we have the capacity to create it, and we're going to create it together. Yeah. Coming together in communities like this. And like Janine was saying at the start of the show, like speaking it out loud, expressing it, just beginning to articulate it that's where the magic is.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of manifesting and magic, we were having this conversation the other day about how in order to create the new, we have to make place for it. And for a lot of people this year, they're feeling this mourning aspect of having to let go of so many things, not just the ego death, but family relationships and the people they thought they were, the job definitions and all of these things. But when you let go of things on your field of view, it creates room for new things to come in. And so the beautiful Robin, for example, coming to show, Janine coming into my life, that's because I made room by letting go of some of the things that no longer served me. So although that is a hard process to go through, I want to share that with the audience that yes, there's a lot of positivity that comes out from that as well. If you stick with it, and if you're true and you're standing into your authenticity and align with your soul contract and your soul mission, again, like Robin just said, that's where the magic is. Stella says, yeah, love is the answer. Absolutely. So guys, if you have any questions for Robin, now's the time. Please start populating the chat here. Please put your questions in high cap. It's going to be a little bit easier for me to pull out from the stream here. There's quite a bit of you in the live stream. While I wait for those to populate, Janine, do you have any specific questions listening through this whole process here for Robin? Let's start there.
Wow. I was blown away by what you were saying, Robin. Wow. It reminds me of when I was learning astrology. It was like also a system to understand what your purpose is. So these systems are so, they're like the keys to understanding ourselves. And I'm sure they were channeled to people, from greater universal love. So we could understand and sort of navigate our human life here. I just found it fascinating.
Can we pull cards? Maybe Janine, somebody's asking here, Hayden Baker, Robin, do you do human design readings? Why, yes, she does. We'll get to that in a second here. But maybe let's ask Universe why Robin was chosen to be the bearer of knowledge here in terms of human design, and also the birthing soul temple complex here. We'll talk about that maybe in a part 2 of another show, because there's a lot of information there, specifically as it pertains to 2027 and this new paradigm we're heading into. And we didn't want to overload the audience here tonight, so we're going to stick to the human design part here tonight. Why did Universe choose maybe Robin for this particular role that she's playing now, as opposed to the Hollywood training wheels perhaps she was in before?
A big part of it was her own self-love. So it was something brought her to it on her own journey of self-love, but then because of her nature, wanting to turn around and do for others. And this is interesting because this is a sovereignty. Okay, you never say that word. Sovereign being, a free woman. Okay. And I really do feel that about Robin, that she doesn't like, and this probably came from her pagan roots and those lifetimes, but she does not like to be undervalued as her feminine knowledge. So that goes along with the empowering herself through birthing. And like a lot of women don't realize what an initiation birthing is. Right. So it feels to me like your own personal empowerment process guided you to realize once you learned it, it must be part of your personality. Now you want to turn around and teach others.
Yeah.
So your own path led to being a Gemini too. And on top of it, astrologically, you got a lot of Gemini in your chart. Geminis love to share. So they pick up on things and then they turn around and share with everybody. So they spread the word. So there's that too, part of your personality, that you want to share what you know. You knew all these things about healthy ways to eat. And even in one afternoon, I changed my whole diet. And Robin wrote out all of the really simple ways I could use these really simple ingredients. And it literally could transform. We'll see, like we'll give it 6 more months, see what happens. But you know what I mean? Like you have a way, Robin, where you learn something, you turn around, you teach it. It's like you turn around and help everybody else up too.
Very good. Okay, well, let's get into some of this human design work that you do. Yes, to answer Hayden Baker, yes, she does that. So let's bring that up on the screen for the audience here. Where's the best place to start here? Maybe I'll ask the first question for the audience members. If they're interested in getting their own breakdown of their human design, where do they start on the website here? What do they need to look for?
So if you go into Soul Temple, and then you can scroll down from that page to human design. And on that page, it really describes what the system is. And then I offer, the 15-minute readings, which is an overview. And then the 90-minute reading is a real deep dive. And the intake form that I send you is through the booking process is very detailed. So what I like to do is really focus on your gifts and where you are in your life in terms of your rite of passage, your ego death, whatever it is that you're facing, and really cater the whole reading to help you mobilize through whatever it is you're experiencing and come out with tools and knowledge to start living your soul purpose and to feel really good about who you are and why you're here.
Okay. Another question on the screen here that relates to your website too. And to your service, how do we go about finding our soul purpose? Crystal is asking you.
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, I'll give an example. So, and that our soul purpose is multifaceted and it is always evolving. But if we can tune in to our internal guidance, we can hear answers. And what human design does is offer some really specific ideas. Like for me, we have this thing called the incarnation cross, and this is almost like your destiny. Mine is to be an educator. I never in a million years thought I would be an educator. And in fact, I had like an ego about it. Oh, I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be an actress. And I had like this attitude about it. But now that I'm educating and I'm like, okay, let me experiment with that. It doesn't feel true yet. You know, this is 6 years ago, but now it feels so good. And I'm able to express myself through education, and it illuminates truth, which is so important to me. So human design helps illuminate your soul purpose. And what I encourage you to do is to experiment with these different gates and channels and feel into, does this feel good to me? And as you experiment, you start to embody what actually feels good. And there you have your soul purpose. Your soul path is revealed.
Okay, very good. Very good. And Claire is asking, you kind of alluded to at the beginning here, but maybe they're just tuning in now. How many different human design types are there in this system?
Yeah, so there are 5 main energy types, which I described earlier. And then you've got your profile types. So we each have an archetype. So for example, I'm a hermit role model. So I'm supposed to be spending time alone, studying, feeling into my own energy, being quiet, so I can then step into this role model and demonstrate what it is to follow my soul path. So it's so intricate that you can go so deep with human design, and that's what I love about it. There's also like 192 incarnation crosses.
Wow. Okay.
And yours, JC, is the vessel of love. So you are here literally to create spaces of love. This is why I keep banging on about love tonight. It's just a big loving. And then Janine, a part of hers is like literally feeding the community. That's part of her, like, and she loves cooking. She's a brilliant cook, and she loves nourishing and nurturing people. And that can translate like literally food, or, you know, metaphorically, spiritually, she's nurturing the community.
Wow. I can't wait to go to Janine's housewarming parties. We did one on live stream, and like, I could see all that food there, and I could just see Janine just like eat everybody, be merry and drink. Yeah. And it was just so amazing. Okay. This year has been particularly, well, the last 2 years has been particularly difficult on couples as well. As we move through this initiation process, we're all at different stages of our understandings, and that's causing a lot of frictions in relationships. So talk about human design for couples and what you're seeing now in the work that you're having with your clients, and how perhaps that could help some of the couples out there right now who are struggling with this initiation process into this new world we're birthing now.
I can say from my own experience, it totally radicalized my relationship with my partner, with my husband. Now, so what happens in a couples reading, it really is about understanding and acceptance. So if you can understand that my needs are totally different to yours, because what happens in relationships, of course, is codependency, projection of childhood wounding. If you're unconscious, this is, you know, going to be the root cause of conflict and arguments and disharmony in the relationship. But if you're bringing a consciousness and an awareness to how you're relating and what each other's needs are as individuals, you know, it's a total game changer. My husband now understands me so well. He's like, oh, you need to nap. You're not coming on this family excursion because you need a nap. I'm like, yeah, I need a nap and a snack. I'm not going on that hike with you guys.
Right.
and it's just alleviated so much misunderstanding. So really it is an opportunity for couples in these sessions to come and say, hey, this is where we're struggling. We can't see eye to eye on these issues. And then we really dig into the charts and say, oh, well, your energy type wants to be doing this and yours wants this. And then we flesh out a plan really to have a daily routine, a daily life together that is harmonious and loving and accepting.
Wow. Okay. Lillian is saying, I've been searching for my soul mission, just as the universe, and wow, this show is blowing my mind. Well, thank you, Lillian. We're all connected somehow, and there's a reason you guys are watching the show here tonight. My next question, maybe a little bit more delicate, but as you were talking, I could hear voices, I guess. But anyway, I was being guided to ask this question. For those couples who perhaps fear having a couple session with you and maybe having their own human design, how do I say it, expanded to the other person, and perhaps the other person not understanding who they are. Like, okay, I'm trying to translate from French here. So there's a fear coming out in a couple's relationship to have this work done because some people are living basically not their authentic self, and they're afraid that by doing this couple session together, they might reveal to the other partner things that they might even not know about themselves yet. So how do you deal with these fears as they come up here?
Well, it's a beautiful question. I love it so much. I mean, I think one of my favorite mantras in life is to seek to understand is to love. So if you have the courage, you know, you're in a relationship, if you have the courage to seek to understand the other person, that is a loving act and enough in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So fearing the truth and fearing the core of who each other is, does it mean you're afraid to love what you see? I invite people to come and have sessions with me who are willing to step into radical responsibility.
I love it.
So it depends. Do you want to live in a shadow and a lie, or do you want to illuminate what is there and accept it as it is without changing, without adjusting, just accept what is.
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, so some people are asking about the process. Can I determine my energy type or my human design type from your website through the human design energy, or do I need to fill out a form? How does that process work out when they apply to have a booking session with you? What do they get in return? Like, how is this all mapped out for them to understand?
Yeah, so when you make a booking on my website, I ask you for your birth data, so your birth time, your birthplace, and your birth date, of course. And then I enter that into my system. I run a full chart. I spend several hours breaking it all down. And so when we meet, it's this really focused session on where you are in your life, and then all this information. It is a lot of information. And if you are new to it, I really focus on what's pertinent to you. And then I send you the recording of the Zoom session. And I invite people to take notes as well, because I do a lot of research, and I'm just very kind of academic and nerdy like that. But in the moment, as my energy is like synergizing with you, a lot of, I channel a lot of information, and it's very off the cuff, and taking notes is a really good idea.
Okay.
During a session.
Okay, very good. So I guess I'm guided to ask for the audience, and maybe let me bring Janine in here. A lot of people have been on this road with us, Janine, for quite some time, and they've been learning at every step of the way. They're falling down, they're getting back up, just as you and I are living through all of these experiences here with the audience. And I'm curious, at this point in time, as this information is hitting our field and we're getting people like Robin here, being able to maybe not just help people stand up, but give them a little push forward here in an accelerated process here to go through this transformation that we're going through, this initiation now. Can you pull some cards and maybe ask directly what universe can say would be to the benefit of this audience now to get more information on their human design, whether that's just for themselves or for their relationship? What can universe tell them?
Well, just before I even look at the cards, can I add something in there?
No, you can't. Of course you can.
I'd like to say, like always, something like that would be useful. If a person was willing to look at their future, especially on the sort of cusp of the future, we're facing a future that doesn't look anything like the past. And there's absolutely no guidelines, because our history's all been lies, and everybody we thought had authority doesn't and or shouldn't. And we have to redo everything. Like, it's a redo time. So there's no better time to really understand your deep soul purpose than now. This would be a good time everybody needs to be looking at that, right? Like, this is huge right now. It's going to be so helpful. People doing this kind of work, like what Robin's offering, are going to be busy, because everybody needs to create themselves in a more authentic way, really.
Right. And I'm just recalling now the video I had put on BitChute, because we couldn't put it here on YouTube, about battlefield promotions, how we were all going to be called to step up to help people who are just about to wake up. So maybe this is also part of the answer here from universe as to why they need these tools in their toolkit.
Yeah.
A big part of it looks like it's to help empower. So this is a very empowering card with self-esteem, because when you know about yourself, you can understand why you're the way you are, and it helps with self-esteem.
Yeah.
You're just built that way, and it helps you utilize what your gifts are, regardless what you decided to come with. There's a way to use it that's going to work, right? And it just helps you understand that, right? And this card says, because our whole unstable world's crumbling, because it wasn't built on truth, right? So the tower comes down because it was built on a faulty foundation. So everything we've been told about medicine, modern medicine, and or religion, and or all these authorities that we've given somehow permission, knowing or unknowingly, we've given over power to. Okay, it has to come down. Okay, so when this will help with self-esteem, because we're changing everything. Like I said, this card reinvents itself slowly but surely, and it's painful, but it's always helpful to have some guidance in that. So it's going to be really useful.
Wow, very good. Robin, you wanted to add to that?
Oh, I just wanted to say about the couples thing. I made it sound quite serious. I think that, like, do you want to see the darkness or not? Love it, because you gotta love it. But I think the way that I approach this support system is what it is it really is illuminating your gifts, celebrating your energetic needs, and yeah, it creates a space where you can really see the other person and go and celebrate and uplift them and support them. So yeah, that's my mission in, with this whole human design thing, is really to create encouragement. Like, that's what I get fulfillment from, is saying, you're amazing at this. This is, you're going to be so wonderful in this new role. You can do this. I actually have a support group of women who are, awakened souls, and it's almost like I can visualize everybody's role in the new earth, and it's beautiful. And it's just like having that vision and holding it with you is part of that, stepping through into the portal, into the next phase.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. Benny Riley says, JC, I do a monthly donation. It's not much, but I appreciate your kindness in your sharing incredible info. I thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I say thank you so many times on air. I wish I could respond to all of you individually through emails, but there's just so many of them. So a big thank you to all of you, and a big thank you to everyone who support Janine and I in the PayPal tip jar as well. It is what keeps us going, and we've had a long, difficult road here, and we've had a lot of obstacles to try to bring this information to you guys. We exist because of you. So a big thank you. If you guys want to support us that way, we do absolutely appreciate that. Going back to appreciating everybody also here, you brought this coupon code for the audience members here for tonight. Explain what these coupon codes are and what product they are referring to. So let me bring that up on the screen here a little bit more so you can point them to the audience. So folks, if you're watching this now, if you click on the description box below this video, this window will pop up here, and you will see the links to booking a session with Robin at soultemple.love, and you'll see 2 different coupon codes here. Can you explain those to the audience, Robin? How does that work?
Yeah, so when you go to make your booking, it will say, it'll have a code section, and if you're booking an appointment, you can put in Soul Star, all caps. And if you want to purchase a gift voucher for a friend who's going through a rite of passage or an awakening, you use the gift voucher section and put in Soul Gift. Yeah.
Okay. So I clicked on one of the products here, redeem coupon. So this is where I would enter my coupon code. Is that correct?
Yeah, give it, or you can go into the session. So go to Soul Sessions. This
one here? Okay.
Yeah, and then you can book a reading.
Okay. So let's say the 90-minute one, which was what we were talking about earlier. Okay.
And then you set your time zone.
Okay.
And it'll ask you for the coupon code
as we move
you're
forward.
entering your payment. So you can do it at the beginning or towards the end.
Okay. And going back to these, so explain to me again here. So 10% off all soul readings. Okay, so the 90-minute one, the 60-minute one, that's for those.
Couples, and then there's children's ones as well, which is
okay.
helpful for kids.
And this is what you're saying here. If you wanted to buy a gift voucher for somebody else, you can.
Yeah. So great Christmas option.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so let me bring that link back down to the chat for the audience. That's soultemple.love, and again, all of this is in the description box below, guys. And I'm also going to pin this at the top of the comments on both Janine and my channel here right after the show, so you guys will see the links there as well. Robin, as we round up the show, is there anything else we're missing here? Did we hit all the notes we wanted to hit tonight? Is there anything else that maybe perhaps you're guided also to add to the conversation before we go?
I think there are a lot of people realizing on some level that they are here to be leaders. And I just want to encourage anyone who's watching who has a gift that may feel dormant or like it's just on the precipice of coming forth, that this is like your soul essence wanting to be listened to. And stepping into leadership, we're going to need so many, awakened leaders to bring together community, to bring families together, to change the paradigm. I just want to say to trust that little voice, however that's coming through to you. Take note and listen.
Wow. Okay. So that was the last words of wisdom. I love it. Thank you so much. And how about you, Janine? Anything else you want to add from your perspective? And then also I'll ask you to pull some cards here to see what universe wants to have as a closing statement here for the audience.
I just love that Robin reminded me how much I used to love to cook for people. Not so much anymore. Like, I think I'd be inspired if there was a whole bunch of like-minded people. And I'll tell you, if you ever came over to my house and there was a bunch of all of a sudden spontaneous gathering at my house, I'm the first one looking through the fridge trying to figure out what kind of curry I'm going to cook up or whatever. So absolutely, like feeding the masses, but now I'm trying to feed them information because that's what they're missing, and hope, and and not just hopium, but real hope. And what I believe is truth. So that's my new kind of food. But for years and years, I was the curry pot lady. Like, let me tell you, I was making the curries. And a sister-in-law of mine, who's Indian from Pakistan, she absolutely taught me how to cook curry. So I know how to cook curry. I'll tell you that.
And now you're offering up food for the soul here.
Yep, food for the soul now.
Food for the soul. All right. And do you want to pull a few cards maybe to see what universe wants to share with us before we end the show?
So what does the universe want to share with this beautiful presentation we've had? Wow.
And thank you so much, everyone, for contributing to the amazing frequency in the live chat. You guys are amazing. I know it's going by very fast. I'm trying to bring up all your comments on screen, but you guys are absolutely amazing. We have the best, beautiful community. Thank you. And I really love you guys. Thank you.
I got a personal message from Universe to Robin. Robin, are you writing a book right now or working on anything to be published like that?
Yeah, I want to write a book about birth to support my birth education clients.
Interesting, because that is like a pregnancy birthing kind of card. And this is written word. So you're absolutely going to do that. And it's something that's already, the feeling I get is it's already been written in a way in your mind. Yeah. It just has to physically come out, right?
Cool.
You just have to go through, like, get the time to actually, this guy's patient and persevering and does all the literal stuff to get there, but it's already like just sitting there, like, and it'll be very surprising how it looks when you're done. It looks like, and it'll also be a really good way to keep you financially independently, have an income that's you don't have to worry about things so much. But the universe is saying, yeah, that's absolutely something that it wanted to remind you that's part of the big picture for you coming up.
It's already pressing down into the field. It's already almost baked. It's baked in the cake, so to speak. I love it. Wow.
Thank you so much. That's great.
You're welcome.
Hearing that.
Colin on the screen says, wow, the appointments are booking up really fast. Okay, guys, that tends to happen on this show here. And I got to tell you, just last week, we had Carla on the show who does these amazing orgonite pyramids. And of course, she sold out in the first day, then put more inventory, and then sold out again. And now she was ramping up production, and Etsy shut her down because they thought, wait a second, this is incredible. There's way too many sales here. This must be something going wrong here. And so, yeah, so if you guys are looking to book a session here with the amazing Robin, please do it sooner than later because that schedule does book up really fast. And talk about you knowing your human design also, and how you've scheduled yourself here to do the bookings and also have time for yourself and to do the research and writing the books, so people can expect here how many bookings you're doing per week here for the next couple of months.
Yeah, I think I'm doing 5 per week, because it really is a lot of energy. It's a big energy exchange. A lot comes through. So as a projector, I honor and pace myself that way. So yeah, but the bookings are available up until I think May of next year. So you can book in advance if you're willing to wait.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Wow. I think that's it for the show tonight. I hope I did a good job managing all of this conversation and
That was great.
Not too nervous myself here. And I'm looking forward to getting more of that data you pulled on me here. So maybe you can send me a PDF or whatever it is you want to send me.
Yeah,
Robin.
absolutely.
I'll be excited to read that. And folks, maybe join us for part 2 here. Robin, Janine, and I are going to recalibrate, look at how we did on this episode. We're going to take all of your comments in consideration, but we also want to discuss the other side of Robin McLeavy here, which is all the birthing process. And I think for that one, we're being guided by universe to maybe wait there. There's something happening in the field. There's a lot happening on the planet right now as it pertains to that also. And so I think we're gonna follow universal guidance on that, but we will be back for a part 2 on that. So stay tuned and partie reprise, as we say in French. Well, folks, again, one last time, you can find the amazing Robin here at soultemple.love is the website, and we encourage you to go check out her Instagram as well and follow her there. I'll bring the links down below as well. And finally, you can go and subscribe here at Tarot by Janine on YouTube and Sending Ravens. This was part 1 of the Sacred Temples with Robin McLeavy. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you soon. Au revoir.
Au revoir.